I'm continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this section is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit as I move along. Right now, in my last video, I read the first part of chapter 20 in the book of Judges. I will now be finishing chapter 20. This is a continuation of the story of the Levite whose wife or concubine was murdered through sexual abuse by the men of Gibeah, and the children of Israel gathered together to decide what to do. They decided that these men of Belial in Gibeah needed to be executed, but when they went to Benjamin to get the men to enforce the law, the men of Benjamin rose up in their armies against them. So now we are going to read of the civil war between Benjamin and the rest of Israel. Before we go into it, though, I do want to mention again, there are, as of right now, there are good players and there are bad players in this whole story. The Levite was a good man. The men who murdered his wife, of course, were evil. Israel comes together and they say, we need to enforce the law. We need to execute these men. That is good. Benjamin says, no, we're going to defend them. That is bad. The Benjamites are not in the right here. They are very much in the wrong. Now, there is a point here that will tell us when this story takes place, and we'll show you kind of the reason why I'm reading it now. But my son's knocking at the door, so let us read it. We pick it up in verse 18. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God, and asked counsel of God, and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to the battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah, and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. And the men of Israel, encouraged themselves, and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until even, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Lord said, go up against him. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day, and Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. So Israel goes to the Lord. They're going to the tabernacle. This is the house of the Lord. And they inquire, do we go up? Are we right in what we're planning on doing? God says, yes, go. Send Judah out first. Benjamin wins the day, decimates them. So they go back to God and said, okay, now are we going to go back again? And God says, yes, go back. They go back and they once again get decimated by Benjamin. But note that their attacking Benjamin is approved of the Lord. This is a good thing. They should be doing this. Verse 26. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God, and wept and sat there before the Lord, and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thine hand. Okay, this is where we can see where this actually takes place. Now, it doesn't give us an exact date, but we know who was high priest. That was Phinehas. Now, Phinehas was born while they were still in the wilderness, because he's the one that killed the Israelite who was having an affair with a Midianite woman, causing a plague in Israel and all that. So he was there in the wilderness. At the end of the book of Joshua, Joshua dies, They bury the bones of Joseph, and then Eleazar dies. So Phinehas is the high priest at the beginning of the reign of the judges. We don't know how long he lived. So most likely, this is taking place during the time that Othniel judged Israel, even probably before the story of Ruth. So maybe I should have read this way back. But this tells us when it was taking place, approximately. It might have been, it probably was before the story of Ruth. But let us continue reading. Verse 29. And Israel set liers in wait round about Gibeah. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah, as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city. And they began to smite of the people and kill, as at other times, in the highways, of which one goeth up to the house of God, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us as at the first. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee, and drew them from the city unto the highways, and draw them from the city unto the highways. And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array in Baal Tamar. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,000 and 100 men. All these drew the sword. Now, we're going to pause just briefly here. This is an overview of the battle. They basically laid an ambush. They had some people hide up around the outside of the city, put an army out. The Benjamites send their army out, and Israel flees. When they draw the army of Israel away from the city, the liers in wait come in, destroy the city, destroy Gibeah, destroy the Benjamites. 25,000 out of 26,000 are killed. That's an overview. Now we're going to get some details. And so I'm going to read through this entire thing, get us the details so we don't take too long in the video. Let us continue. Verse 36. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liers in wait which they had set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted, and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along, and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons. For they said, Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle. But when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Gibeah toward the sunrising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gibeah, and slew 2,000 men of them. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. So, this is our details. Benjamin goes out to fight Israel. Israel retreats. When they draw Benjamin far enough away, the liers in wait, or the ambush, comes in, destroys the city, lights a fire. As soon as the smoke is rising out of the city, the rest of Israel turns around and attacks Benjamin. And the men who just sacked the city of Gibeah come out of the city and attack Benjamin from the rear. And Benjamin is surrounded. Benjamin seeing this, they don't even try to fight, they just run. And they are chased, and 18,000 of them die in the highways as they're running. A number of them make it to the rock rimmon, where another 5,000 are destroyed, are killed. The rest, again, try to flee, getting to the place of Gibeah, where another 2,000 fall. A total of 25,000. So we have the details of the battle. Let us finish the chapter. Verse 47. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock rimmon, and abode in the rock rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city as the beast, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to. So rather than just destroying the city of Gibeah, once all the army of Benjamin is destroyed, they go out and destroy all the cities. They just demolish Benjamin. I'm not sure this was particularly called for. God told him to go against Benjamin and destroy Gibeah, not to lay waste an entire tribe. Now, at the same time, Benjamin had sent all their men to defend Gibeah. And the argument could be made that the women were in complete agreement with this action, but they did nothing to discourage it. And so took part in the overall rebellion of Benjamin, and therefore the rest of Israel is justified in what they do. It's a little bit hazy there, that Israel, on whether or not Israel went a little too far. But this is what happened. And Benjamin there are only 600 men. Now this isn't just all males. This is men of military age, meaning there may be still young teenagers or younger boys. There may also be older men. But basically the military age men, which would be also the age of men who are capable of producing more children, have been wiped out. There's only 600 of them left. And this will cause Benjamin to be a small and fairly weak tribe for most of Israel's history because of this event. Now, as I said, this happened very early on in the time of the judges, obviously, because Phinehas is the high priest. This is very early on. Which, one other thing to mention is that Gibeah seems to be the same as the town of Gibeon. So Gibeah, spelt with an A-H at the end. There is also the town Gibeon, which is spelt with an O-N at the end. Could just be different spellings of the same town. Most likely is, because both towns are located very close to the city of Jerusalem. Gibeon is about 5 miles north of Jerusalem, and in the story in chapter 19, the Levite, taking his wife home, going from Bethlehem north, passes by Jerusalem to go to Gibeah. So most likely they're the same town. And if you recall, this is the town that tricked the Israelites into a treaty. They are Canaanite. These guys were idolatrous people. They were of the Canaanite people. And they had the practices of the Canaanites. It wasn't just that they worshipped idols. To a large extent, this worship was sexual. Holy prostitutes and sexual orgies as part of the divine worship. Now, this being this early on in the reign of the judges, it is very likely that the people of Gibeah are still, at least a good portion of them, are of the Hivites, which are the Canaanite tribe that Gibeon was, and they still carried the traditions of the Canaanites. So when they come to this makes it, when we get the timing of it, and we understand that this is the same town, that these were Canaanites, the idea that the Canaanites behaved in this way, given that they are later, or in other places, described in the scriptures as being holy, that they are ripe in iniquity, ready to be wiped out by God. God is telling Israel to wipe them out down to the last individual. We can kind of understand that this is a remnant of the wickedness of the Canaanites, raising its head. And the problem is, the real problem here is that Benjamin defended them. These were Canaanites. These were probably largely Canaanites who were committing the actual act. But Benjamin was willing to go to war against Israel to defend that act. And this was early on. So, this is also one last note. We're getting a little long here, so I'll make this last note. This seems to be the only time in the entire reign of the judges that Israel was united as one. So, after this, and that also makes sense because they are fresh out of the wilderness. Joshua has recently died. Eleazar has recently died. This is in the time period that it says they were faithful during the lives of the elders who outlived Joshua. They would have been united. It would have taken, it was after this that the tribes divided and became just local groups. But I've already gone too long, so I'm going to leave that here. And we will finish the story of Benjamin and the Civil War in chapter 21.